Yeah, yes. So what? It's your boy Bitz and Bobz, aka Bobby Nolanzi, and this is the Edinburgh Derby preview. The capital, the big smoke. I've got two gentlemen joining me this fine evening. I'm very, very fortunate. I have your man Paul Fraser, the Jambo. Paul, how are you?
I'm very well. How are yourself? All right?
I'm good, sir. I'm good,
Good.
sir. And we have the Hibby, Ennis Burns. Ennis, how you doing, mate?
I know. Listen, I'm too good looking to be a Jambo, so.
Listen, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. Seriously, we've been talking off air from bloody Edinburgh politics and so on, and we found out Edinburgh is just a fishbowl, a small world. But listen, there's only two fixtures in my experience worth talking about. No disrespect to the Dundee people, but Edinburgh is always Hibs and Hearts. Okay, who are the kings of Edinburgh? When I was growing up in Scotland, it was Hutchie v Tiny, believe it or not. That was the derby that I was used to. But obviously, as you grow older, I remember Hibs and top tier famous five stand with a boy called Scott Easton. I watched Frank Sozzi. I was very fortunate to watch Colin Cameron as well play. So a few players there I've watched. Now, guys, just before we go into it, just a bit of introduction. So, Paul, you're obviously the Hearts fan, obviously in your colours there. Can you just tell us a bit about yourself and why you support Hearts?
Paul Fraser here. Been a Hearts fan for 35 years, mate. I'm 40-year-old. I can feel it as well, by the way. I'm feeling it. But born on this side of the town, the west side of Edinburgh, brought up and raised. My old man was a big Hearts man, went to all the games and stuff. So that's what you do. You follow in the parents' footsteps, and I'm glad I did.
Good, sir. Good, sir. And obviously, you've seen your team lift a few trophies as well along the way.
A few more than Ennis, but he's maybe catching up a wee bit.
And thank you for that, Paul. And obviously, Ennis and yourself, if you could just tell us a bit about yourself, please.
Aye, so I'm Ennis. I come from a Hibs family. Obviously, my old man's a big Hibby, my uncle, all my cousins and that. Originally from the south side, but moved down to Leith about 7 years ago. And Hibs, for us, it brings the family together. We all go to games, we've all got season tickets and that. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, perfect. And listen, gentlemen, as I said, thank you again for joining me this fine evening. Now, okay, we're going to get into it. Gloves are off, guys. You know what I mean? We've had the pleasantries off air, so let's get it on. We've got to start with the champions. And when I say champions, I mean the championship champions. So, Paul, I'm going to come to you, right? We were just talking about, what do we do before Derby Day? This fixture, all jokes aside, what does it mean to you personally?
Oh, Bobby, I'm nervous a week before this fixture. I don't know why, because we kind of always take care of them anyway. So that's just how it always is. But massive fixture, big for the fans, my family as well. My son, he's grown up a Hearts fan as well. Like I say, we're the same as Ennis. We've got season tickets and we're at the games, and it's the pre-match ritual and the breakfast in the morning. The tunes are on. Everybody's getting ready. The nerves are kicking in. You're trying to be all masculine and kid on. You're no nervous, but you really are. That's what goes down. But that's basically it. As soon as you get to the ground, the nerves are kicking in, and it's always a good game. Tynecastle, Hibs and Hearts, away end full. Hibs and Hearts, they do the good thing. They give each other the away stand, the full stand. It's all good. It's all good.
Which is, to be honest, I'm glad you said that. That's something that's not normally documented. The respect on that level, because I don't want to mention it, but we saw what happened at Ibrox a couple of weeks ago. The politics in that, we can go back and forth for it, but it is true what you're saying. Ennis, same question to you. You've just heard Paul say there, obviously the nerves and stuff. Obviously, a packed Tynecastle. Now that's where the game is. So obviously,
raucous, a raucous Tynecastle, Bobby.
No, there's nothing like when you walk up the stairs of Tynecastle. That is the nerves you get when you're going up the stairs is mental. But no, what does it mean to me? Well, I think personally in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, I think social media has made it a lot worse. The bile and the abuse you get online, I don't know what it is, but it seems to be heightened now. And if you get beat, you need to go into hiding for days because you're just getting hounded by everyone. All your pals are meshing you in that. There's no getting away from it. But what has it meant long term? Well, obviously, I've been going to the games since I was 4-year-old. Obviously, I said it's a big family thing that brings us together and that. So obviously, it's a big thing for us all. And on the day, there's just nothing like it. As Paul said, you wake up, you get the tunes on and that. I have to wake up while I can, so I'm usually fucking burst the night before. But I don't remember the last derby I wasn't. But so it's always a struggle throughout the day. But no, it's just a huge day for everyone involved, and you didn't want to get beat.
Listen, just what you said there. You do not want to get beat. I remember as a young kid playing against Hibs youth, and it was Jack Wilson, Jordan Cropley, and all that. And I know they're from like Ben Lothian side, and I'm from Lothian, so I was thinking I can't get beat off these guys. So I wouldn't just kick the ball; I'd kick them. But and it's just like what you said there, right? I'm just gonna stick with you, Ennis. We're talking about you don't want to get beat. Last season, Hibs did get beat though in the semi-final.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna before you come in here, what was that like not being there? First of all, and what was it like being beat?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, and I think that derby, I think it was probably as good for Hearts fans as a normal derby would be, but I don't think it was as bad for Hibs fans as it usually would be, because when we were talking about if we were traipsing through to Hampden, it's pushing it down, you're coming out, you're avoiding, like we didn't get all that, which made it a lot less of a deal than it was. Then I think Hearts beat us in a final about 15 years ago at Hampden, and that was obviously a lot worse than that one, if you get what I mean. So
it was about the same attendance.
In a few finals, but anyway,
it was about the same attendance for about half an hour left, though.
Very good, but no. So to answer your question, no, it wasn't as bad. So were the bragging rights with Hearts? Well, I mean, they were suffering all year in the Championship, so it wasn't as bad.
So yeah, right, Paul. Look, Championship, obviously semi-final. I've got to ask Paul before you answer the same question. What meant more, winning the Championship or beating them in the semis?
Obviously, we need to get back up the league. We were demoted anyway under a terrible scenario, but it happened.
I like how you said demoted.
Demoted, yeah, demoted. Well, if you want to call it that, aye. But first and foremost, we had to get the job done in the Championship. I know we had a couple of bad results here and there, but it's always going to happen when you come up against teams that are playing a 10-1. Okay, I mean, that's just what happens. It's tough, especially at home, trying to break teams down. But playing Hibs at Hampden, I mean, they've never beat us at Hampden before anyway, so even before going into that game, I'm always confident against Hibs. I'm nervous, but I'm always confident, so I thought Craig Gordon pulled off a few good saves, and Hibs probably edged the game, to be perfectly honest. But you've got to put the ball in the net to win the game, and that's what we've done.
Listen, that's just put the ball in the net at the end of the day, and that's how you win games. And okay, that's that done. Okay, it's the first derby this season. The fans are going to be there. You both are going to be, at the stadium. Ennis, I've got to ask you one question. Martin Boyle, I don't know if you're aware, but he's actually the first ever Hibs player to score 4 goals in the first 4 opening games of the SPL. Now, going to a Tynecastle full with people like Paul, okay, passionate jambos, is he going to do a Kyogo and bottle it?
Well, no, I think Martin Boyles he's had enough derbies now to know what it's all about. He'll be used to the atmosphere. You mentioned it'll be full of people like Paul, and I picked up on something that Paul said. He said, I'm always confident going to Hibs Hearts derby. It's because Hearts fans have this sort of arrogant mojo that they get about a week before the derby. It's like their God-given right to be better than anyone else, when they forget that
facts and stats back that up, and that's facts and stats.
Since the league reconstruction in '75, you're the second most relegated team in the country from that league.
Ooh, that's a cheap uppercut there,
Paul. Still won more Scottish Cups than you.
Well,
we've still won more Scottish Cups than you.
Well, we had a bit of a hoodoo, but we're over that.
Oh, there you go.
But back to the question, will Martin Ball boil it? I think Martin Ball could be the difference on Sunday. I think Hearts, their defence doesn't have a huge amount of pace, and I think Boyle's pace is it's too hard to handle for defences in this league. I'd arguably say he's one of the best, if not the best winger in this league.
Okay,
so he could be the difference.
Paul, can you jump in there?
Bobby,
Because that's
let me jump in. Let me jump in here. I've got a couple of wee stats for you.
Here we go.
Right. The last time Hibs won at Tynecastle, Martin Boyle scored 2. I think that's right.
That was the last game, yeah.
Boxing Day 2019. He scored 2. He played as a centre forward that day. All right. Tynecastle's the smallest pitch in the league and one of the smallest pitches in Scotland. That's why when Martin Boyle comes to Tynecastle and plays as a winger, he can't get as much space and doesn't influence the game as much. That day, he played as a centre forward for Hibs. So, is Jack Ross going to do that again and play him as a centre forward?
Nah, he won't. Nah, he won't. He's sort of got an established 4-3-3 that he's playing just now. It's usually Jamie Murphy on the left, but he's obviously injured. He will be a big loss on Sunday. Nisbet's through the middle and Boyle's on the right. So, I know what you're saying. That could. I mean, I've seen a lot of teams and they put 2 or 3 players on Martin Boyle and they kick him up the park, and that sort of just nullifies him altogether. But how Hearts deal with him, I don't know. But if they don't, but he could be the difference.
I must agree, Martin Boyle, good football player. Martin Boyle's a good player. But wingers at Tynecastle didn't normally come and do it.
And have you got a response to that?
Joe, who jumped into my head was Alex Harris when he came to Tynecastle. I just remember going up that right hand side. He was brilliant that day, and I think I disagree with Paul. I think a fast winger could be the difference on Sunday. As I said, I think Hearts' defence is quite slow, so if Hibs can exploit that, then there's no reason why they can't do it at Tynecastle.
Okay. I'll take that as a. I'll probably give that as a draw, but slightly, I think Paul edged it there. I think Paul had you on the ropes there in this. Oh yeah, I think Paul had you on the ropes there. Paul, listen, we've got to come to you. Obviously, listen, Hearts are only second by goal difference. You know, you've got a great home record. The last time you lost, I think it was Queen of the South, 2020, I believe, or 2020.
2020.
So, Nielsen's just one manager the month. Can he do it on Sunday? I know you're going to say yes, but the way you've been playing, I mean, one may say that Hibs have been just doing enough to win, but Hearts have actually had a plan. What do you say to that, Paul?
I agree there. I mean, doing so much to win and doing plenty to win is irrelevant as long as you win. But I think that Hibs fixtures have been a bit kinder to them. I mean, we've had Celtic at home, Aberdeen at home, St Mirren away, Dundee United away. I mean, we've had quite tough fixtures. The only thing that I've got is the League Cup game. I'll give Nielsen his due. I'll back him. I'll back him when he's doing the positive things. But he's got a bit of negativity about him. I mean, Hearts could go in front and then he tries to reshuffle and thinks he's Guardiola at times and changes the personnel and tries to hold on to what he's got. And I mean, we just beat Celtic at Tynecastle and went to Parkhead in the League Cup, which is ironically is the biggest pitch in the league. And he doesn't play Josh Ginnelly, brings him on at half time, and it was 3-2, but they battered us in the first half. But we should have maybe got something out the game. So that's the only negative I've got with Nielsen. But fair play, hats off to him. Keep it going, be positive on Sunday, and I can't see why we couldn't take 3 points on Sunday.
So we're talking about being positive, okay? We'll stay with you, Paul. Do you think jam-packed, full stadium, Hibs Derby, like we said, do you think that adds on 15% to the players' performance? Or do you think that Hearts don't really need it? Because I think the start that you've had, I think Hearts have played really good football. You know, they're very defensively solid, tactic-wise. I feel set-piece-wise as well. Been on point. As I said, look, you drew against Aberdeen. Listen, that's no easy feat. Aberdeen are a good, solid, compact team. Obviously, you beat Celtic. Can this keep going? It's tough. You just brought in Barry Mackay. Can it be done? Can you guys do what? I can't remember what year it was, but Stephen Presley and them when they went the 12 games unbeaten or something. Can you keep going?
I think it's a positivity thing with the players. The players need to believe that first and foremost, but it needs to come for the manager and the backroom staff, how they set up to win games and how you go out to put your onus on the game and how you do things. So I can't see why not. Also, picking up on your transfer window there, which has been a fantastic transfer window for Hearts. The only thing that's getting me is, like you touched on as well, about the derby with the atmosphere, is a lot of players for both teams. I mean, you've got a lot of Hibs players, a lot of Hearts players that have never played in an Edinburgh Derby with fans there. The new boys, so you
can
don't
say
know
half
how
the squad. Yeah,
half the squad, each squad. They've not played in front of a raucous Tynecastle before. So it's you sink or swim, that's it. You need to show your character. It's all about character. Ability comes after. Hard work first, ability comes second.
You mentioned character there, Ennis. I'm going to come to you. The player Doig, Just Doig. We're talking about character. What's his character been like this season? And do you think he's got something to prove on Sunday if he's in the squad?
No, he doesn't have anything to prove. I think he's proven that he's a young, talented player, and he's still, there was rumours going away. He had offers. He wasn't back in the squad, so he's only actually getting settled now and starting to come into his stride again.
Yep.
His first game of the season was the first time he's played in front of fans ever. So he was released by Hearts. He was looking for a job, and then Hibs picked him up. And then when we picked him up, he was playing in front of fans. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares on Sunday. Does he have anything to prove? No, because he's a brilliant young player. And Hibs have been used to Louis Stevenson for a number of years, and for the past 3 or 4 years, he's been lumbering up the left-hand side, unable to put a ball in. So no, he's got nothing to prove, but it'll be interesting to see how he fares nonetheless, because it is obviously a hostile atmosphere at Tynecastle.
So this is what I'm saying about the hostile atmosphere, because obviously throughout the pandemic, we've all had to watch, and we all had to be armchair fans. We've had to watch it with the families in the living rooms and so on. Or if we can't watch it with families, we'll watch it on our own, because sometimes watching our team that we love and support is very stressful. Now, I'm looking into the squads, and I'm looking into that because I think it's a major fact. I'm going via the mentality, because I feel you can play with a bit of a free spirit if there's no one watching. Let's not say training game tempo, but if you lose the ball, there's no antagonizing boos or cheers. And I just feel, when we go down the years, Hibs Hearts Derby have been ferocious, fierce. The ball's been up in the air more times, it's on the ground sometimes. But with the way both teams have started, right, does this home factor not massively shift, and I'll come to you this, towards Hearts? Because, like we've said, half the players aren't playing in front of a crowd. And, I've been in the crowd, and it's tough. It's hostile.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's obviously the home crowds for any home game against Hearts, regardless of the circumstances that have been before, is going to be an advantage for the home crowd. But that being said, it depends how the way it goes, because if Hearts didn't settle well and Hibs are on the front foot, sometimes the home crowd could be your worst enemy. And, we talked about how the away end is full. It's not like the Old Firm where you just get a wee pocket of fans. It's, I think Hearts get, about the same as us. I think it's about 3,500 fans. It's quite a bit.
Just under 3,500 Dunbar and
So they make a lot of noise. So it just depends how the game goes. If Hibs, I think Hearts will come out the traps and feed into that atmosphere at the start of the game. I think if Hibs can deal with that first half hour and the pressure that comes with that, and they settle well, then I think they'll be fine. But as you said, it's a hostile atmosphere, and if Hearts can get top early, then that could top Hibs.
So previously, guys, I'm just gonna do a little segue now, change it up, okay? Different generations here, okay? So Paul, I'm gonna come to you first. Ricardo Fuller, you remember him?
Yep.
Him or Liam Boyce?
Ricardo Fuller is in my all-time Hearts 11 team.
Okay.
Ricardo Fuller and John Robertson up front. That's my front two.
Listen, no bad players, by the way. A few goals there as well.
So there we go. That answers that. That answers that question. Didn't get me wrong. Liam Boyce, fantastic. Good goal scorer, but I'll tell you what he is. He's a fantastic football player. He drops into that number 10 hole, and he can dictate play there. I see a lot of Hearts fans saying, why is he dropping so deep? Why is he dropping so deep? And you're like, he drops so deep because he's got a brain, and he's got a football brain, and he's technically a good football player. Don't get me wrong, strikers are based on their goals that they score, but certain fans don't overlook what he does other than scoring goals, me, myself included. and he's a fantastic football player. So
I think. Do you know what? I think I'm going to agree with you. But do you know also? I didn't realize how technically good he was until I actually watched it. Saw his touch, his movement, and I'll tell you what. The best compliment I can give him is that he can play and he can score. I know everyone says the hardest thing about in football scoring a goal, but nowadays players are athletes, and I think the talent is diluting. So to see a striker want to get involved and then obviously score goals is very brilliant to see. But no, that's a good one. Now, Innes, I've got to ask you, okay? Martin Boyle, okay, or the great, I'm going to change it up here, Mixu Patalainen.
Big Miku.
I was going to say Gary or Derek, but I think I thought I'd just mix it up a little bit.
I'm actually wearing Miku's first stop. He was
there you go.
First game of Hibs. Unfortunately, I was still quite young when Mixu Patalainen was here. I was only about 4 or 5 year old when he was at Hibs. I do remember I'd get like flashing images of him. I can remember the games I was at, but can I remember a lot of his play? I'd probably say that I couldn't. A lot of Hibbies would probably pick Mixu Patalainen, but
that's very honest of you, Innes, because do you know what people? I'm not saying you're young, but you see all these people online and stuff, and they talk about this player, and you do think to yourself, did you watch them play? I'll give you a quick example with the Ronaldo situation. And everyone's saying, listen, Ronaldo, if one or two, you can have a debate, okay, with him and Messi, right? But I see people online saying, oh, he's this and he's that, and he's better than this person. And I'm thinking, like, I saw one saying that he's the best player ever played in the Premier League. And I'm like, did you watch him in 08? Because I remember watching a Dennis Bergkamp and Thierry Henry, So that's very honest of you, mate. And I salute you for that, because a lot of people would have just been like, oh, Mixu Patalainen, blah, blah, blah. And then,
and he scored the hat-trick against Hearts and that, and he's obviously well remembered for that. And I think, when I was growing up, I used to absolutely adore Soze. I loved him. But at the same time now, I can't really remember seeing him. I was too young to watch a lot. And again, I remember flashing images of him, but I don't really remember him fully. So that's an easy answer for me. It's Martin Boyle.
Decent Hibs team, that, to be fair.
Yeah. So I've got the strikers now. I'm going to go centre backs now, and I'm going to stay with you in this, okay? Soze or Hanlon?
That's not even a debate for me.
Why is it not a debate? And this is no disrespect to Hanlon, because listen, Hanlon's done well. He's been a great servant to Highbury. But the reason I'm asking you is because I think some people forget. Please tell us.
Well, look, I'm not going to sit here and criticise Hanlon. He's been a great servant to Hibs. I think a lot of Hibbies forget when we were in the Championship and Aberdeen came in for him. He pied Aberdeen to stay with Hibs. He obviously lifted the Scottish Cup, which not a lot of famous Hibs players can say that. Your Pat Stantons and Frank Sozes can't say that for themselves. I'm not going to come here and criticise Hanlon. However, Soze was just in a different league to anyone he was playing. He's probably one of the best, if not the best player since I've been alive. And I think Hanlon, although he's been a great servant, quality-wise, I don't think there's any debate there at all. And to be honest, I think we had a chance to move, because we've had this back four that won the Scottish Cup. We've had them dragging on for years now, but it's time for change. And if I could play someone else at the back four on Sunday, I probably would. I'd probably play the new boy. And that's no disrespect to Hanlon, but Soze was in a different league. No debate about that.
Listen. You're a football fan. At the end of the day, this is why we like football. It's all about opinions. At the end of the day, we'd all be robots if we said the same thing. Exactly. Paul, gonna come to you, Suter or the man himself, Elvis.
I loved Elvis. Stephen Presley was a great player for Hearts. Fantastic. Scored a few goals against the Hibs as well, actually. But just as a football player, he didn't get as many caps for Scotland and the recognition that he deserved.
Do you think it was because he played for Hearts, though?
Yeah, that's always the same. I mean, you can go back to like Tosh McKinley days. I mean, he'd never been quoted for Scotland. He signed for Celtic, and then 1 week later, he got a cap for Scotland. So, I mean, it's always there. But the only downfall for Presley was going and signing for Celtic, coming back to Tynecastle and giving it the big one. I think he lost a lot of credentials there with a lot of Hearts fans. So I'd still take Presley over Souttar. I still think. I mean, John Souttar, good player, and he'll make Hearts a lot of money. And another one who's a ball playing centre back who's got more ability than people give him credit for. But if I had to pick one, I would pick Presley.
Okay, very honest of you both. Now, we're going to change the segment now, okay? We're going to talk about the history of Hibs and Hearts. Now, Paul, we're very fortunate that you're able to shed some light on this. Back in the day, Paul, and I'm talking about when, if you lived in West Hills, you wouldn't step foot in Broomhouse. If you lived in Poulton area, you wouldn't step into Leaf, those kind of stuff. What was it like for you back in the day with Hibs and Hearts? You know, and please be brutally honest. Were there times when you were going to a game? Would there be if you went down Easter Road? Would you not cross a certain street? Would you not go into a certain area? You know, how hostile we're talking. I know it was never as bad as the boys up north. However, you know, there have been a few incidents, few stories. So for you as a fan, a travelling fan, what is it like away to Easter Road?
Like I say, I'm Broomhouse. Say I'm the west of Edinburgh, so I've got to travel right across the town. So that just adds to the Edinburgh Derby. That trip doing the pub before the game, travelling, going along London Road, doing Easter Road, cutting in to go over the bridge, that kind of stuff. But I was in the era of the early 90s when even still like football violence and stuff like that was still going about, and it was hostile. But it was more hostile back then than it is now, to be fair. You can walk along London Road and doing Easter Road, and it's pleasantries, should you say, are passed over. But
a few
verbals. Can't beat a few verbals, Bobby. But nah, it still gives you the butterflies and stuff. Even when I take my son now and I'm walking along London Road, we get off the tram or we've been to the pub or whatever, been for something eating, we're walking along London Road and doing Easter Road, I'm thinking to myself, I hope he's getting the same buzzes as I got when I was his age, walking down these streets, you know, and that's one of the main factors, me going to football and stuff like that, passing all my stuff down to my son. So that's a big thing, but aye.
And it's what about you? I know obviously you're a bit younger, but obviously you say you do go.
He doesn't look at.
I know. Beard gang and all of that. Yeah, but what about you? What's it like? Because do you know? I don't know if you remember. What was it? That Danny Dyer show. What was it he done? I can't even remember what it was called. Yeah, what an absolute farce that was. But I remember he came to Edinburgh and stuff, and I was just thinking to myself, I was like, bloody hell, like really? Yeah. You know, I've seen mere fire in West Hills, mate. Do you know what I mean? But Ennis, for you, as a Hibs fan, you know, travelling, you know, on this kind of day, I mean, would there part of you been a bit worried? Would your family been like, you're not going to that game back in the day?
Look, there'll be a bit of carry on Sunday, whatever. I've never been into that. Like I've never really experienced it firsthand. It's more when you go up the town later on. If it's on a Saturday or Friday night, you can get a bit tasty there. And listen, I remember I watched I think we were in the Championship, we drew 1-1, and Jason Cummins scored the first goal. And I was watching the game in Platform 5, and me, my mate Joe, my two cousins, we've jumped up for the Hibs goal, obviously, and we were the only people, about 300 people that have jumped up, because obviously it was full of jambos. I was out of there after that kickoff. I scurried out, all the casuals were in, there was fights in the toilets and that. I was quicker than Martin Boyle at that pub anyway. But listen, that's never something that's interested me. Look, you know, there's a bit of, me and Paul were talking about this before, there's a bit of mutual respect between Hibs and Hearts. I've got plenty of pals that are jambos and we give each other it tight, but it doesn't cut as deep as the ugly stepsisters through the West, where it's religion and that's tied in. So no, it's not dangerous. You can walk through the town in your Hibs scarf, and as Paul said, you'll get some verbals 100%. I'll be giving it back, but it's usually fine.
Do you know what I love about this, guys? We're saying it with a smile. Do you know? It's good to hear football fans being passionate about their teams like my son is right now. Being passionate, but also being able to talk it in a jest way. You know, obviously there's going to be verbals. We know the songs.
It won't be smells on Sunday. I can guarantee you that.
Well, whoever wins, they might be, but whoever loses, good luck to you. Guys, let's talk about the football. The football what kind of football are we going to expect to be played? You know, because when I think about these games, I think to myself, for example, when I played centre mid for Arnestons, if the striker gave me the ball for centre, I'd give it to the right back. Then the right back gets it long back. So I mean, well, are we? We're not obviously. We know we're not going to see some tiki taka or anything like that. But are we looking forward? Paul, I'm going to come to you first. Do you think Hearts are going to try and get the ball down and play and look to get to Bryce's feet?
In games gone by, Hibs always think that the footballing team, but like you just said there, the ball's in the air in an Edinburgh Derby more times than anything. But I think Hearts have got the players now and that philosophy to try and play a bit of football, get the ball down, get in behind Hibs. I mean, Innes was talking about Hearts' defence not being very pacey. But I mean, there's no much pace in that Hibs back line either. I mean, Paul Hanlon's not the quickest. I mean, I'm thinking they might play the boy Nathan Wood for Middlesbrough on Sunday. I think they maybe play him in there. But we'll see what happens. But I just hope Hearts do try and take control of the game and take the game to Hibs. Because I know for a fact that Hibs will try and get the ball down and they'll try and play. But like we've said before, form goes out the window, and that normally 100%. Gets said because Hearts are either third bottom and Hibs are second bottom. That's why you say form's going out the window, because nobody's going to play any football. But now we're joint top. The onus is on the both of us, so I don't care what's going to happen.
Well, I think it's interesting you said that, Paul, because I think, as I said, Hibs going into Derby, we do expect to get the ball on the deck. And I think some of the Hearts teams in the last 10 years, like obviously most notably Craig Levine's, it was a big horrible side, and in a derby there wasn't that much football getting played. But I'm looking at that Hearts team now. Obviously they brought in Ben Woodburn for Liverpool and Beningame from Everton. These are good football players, and I think for the first time,
very good. Sorry, Ennis, to cut you off. That's the next thing I want to talk about, because we have to talk about the business both clubs have done. But sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, all I was going to say is I think for the first time you're actually going to see a Hearts side that's going to potentially go and play the ball on the deck, and you might actually get a good game of football. I think that could suit Hibs, to be fair, because we fare better against those type of teams, albeit it'll make for a better game of football, no doubt.
So, that being said, okay, we've talked about going down to the stadium, we've talked about the verbals, we've talked about the teams and stuff. Let's talk about the business, because Hearts have done some shrewd business here, and some of the players they've got, I was very surprised. I was thinking, he can play. I was speaking to Corin on the phone earlier, and he's very confident. He's like, we're going to play football and we're going to do them. Now, Ennis, I'll stick with you because obviously Hibs are obviously top of the league, so I'll give you the first go here. Were you happy with the summer transfer window? Because, I believe, was it Nisbet? I mean, he never got his move in January, and there was talk about Swansea. I heard rumours. Nothing's concrete, but listen, football. If they're talking about a team, something's there. So, are you happy with, the business that you guys have done?
So, personally, not really. I was kind of wanting Nisbet to get shifted on, to be honest with
you.
He's a brilliant player, right? But I think in the big games, his head goes down. He doesn't try very hard. I think when there was interest in him in January and he scored the goal against Holland for Scotland, I think he was thinking that offers were just going to be flooding in this summer, and they've not really come, to be honest with you.
Okay.
However, he's a good player. He'll score us goals, and I just hope he turns up on Sunday. But in terms of the business, I think a lot of Hibs fans are expecting, because the new owner, he's promised to double the budget, and that they're expecting to get the checkbook out for transfers. But you forget tying contracts like Boyle, hopefully Nisbet soon. If they sign a 3-year deal, that's 500 grand already. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot of money, and that's something we never did in the past. We never tied these players down and got them on the contracts, which gave us the money. So we've focused on that this window, and that's all well and good. But I think we needed to improve the squad going into this season. I don't think we've improved much, apart from Doyle Hayes, who's been a brilliant signing. We've not improved much from the tail end of last year.
So would you say that Hibs are in a false position then? don't say the obvious, because obviously
No,
you can
no,
say Celtic, Rangers and so on. But with the business you've done, are you overachieving just yet?
No, I don't think we are, because even last
Okay.
season, consistently we were beating teams below us, and Jack Ross has been very good with that. We're in a false position as in come May. Well, you'd expect Celtic and Rangers to be there in the top two, but we're not in a false position because we've been beating what's in front of us, and we've been very good going forward this season, which we weren't as much last season. So yeah, we have improved in terms of business side of the transfer window. I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more.
Just before I go to Paul, the football you've been playing, okay? Are you surprised the way you've been playing now compared to last season?
Yeah, because this is the best attacking football we've seen under Jack Ross so far. Last year was very conservative. It was very robust. It was more about not conceding and going forward and scoring goals, and that's obviously changed the season for the good. But at the same time, we've been a bit we've not been great at the back, so maybe that's come at a compromise. But am I glad? Yeah, because we're going and we're attacking teams, which is obviously good to see.
Paul, the same question to you. Are you happy with the business? Because there's been a few ins and a few outs at Tynecastle. So
this is probably the first time. I mean, John Murray's left the club at Hearts, and he used to oversee a lot of transfers. And I think right at the very start, John Murray done well for Hearts, good Hearts man, stuff like that. But it was time for him to move on, and I think Joe Savage just came in and fantastic. It's more quality over quantity rather than getting 15 players in and thinking, oh, we'll maybe get 3 that are good. We're biding our time, waiting, getting the right players for the positions, holding on. I mean, touching back on what Ennis said about Hibs' deal, I mean, the boy Doyle Hayes and that are good players, but I did hear late on that Hibs went to St Mirren to try and offered Scott Allen and somebody else to try and get boys, and they tried to put a deal in for Barry Mackay right at the end. It seemed a bit frenetic at the end for them. I mean, you've had the whole window to do their business, and it seemed like they were trying to do stuff too late in the day. But getting back to Hearts, I mean, as well, you're talking about Josh Doig. I mean, Josh Doig, if Hibs get offered 3 or 4 million quid for him, he's liable to leave. That leaves you with Lewis Stevenson as the left back. Right, but Hibs have got this affiliation with Brighton, right? As the Scottish English stuff. I mean, we've got a left back, Alex Cochrane for Brighton, and you're thinking to yourself, very good player. You're thinking to yourself, management should be looking at that Hibs, saying, well, we could shift Doig for 3 or 4 million. We're not going to get much more for them, but bring the boy in, Cochrane. I'm no impressed with Hibs' business that they've done, to be honest with you, apart from the boy Doyle Hayes. But getting back to the Hearts side there, absolutely delighted with all the boys. I mean, what the Roy Ross Stewart in, Gianelli signed, Beningham's in, Cochrane, Woodburn, Taylor Moore, Barry Mackay, just quality all over the pitch, and I'm really happy, really delighted.
Now, the same question I asked Dennis, right? The boys that you've brought in, okay, now, down south we all know, down south is tough. You got to have a bit about you to play and stuff, and obviously physicality. But the boys you've brought in, it's very impressive. It's not one of these ones. Oh, he signed for Hearts. It's like, oh, this guy's actually signed for Hearts, and you're thinking he can play. Now, I'm going to ask the same question, like I asked Ernest. With the players you've got and the way you've been playing, because you've been playing better football, is this a false image? Obviously, you're only second because of goal difference, but are you happy and, let's just say, excited for the future with all these transfers?
I'm very excited, especially the ones that were signing on deals. Barry Mackay's on a 2-year deal. Beningham's on a 3-year deal. Beningame turned round to Joe Savage and said, "Don't worry about me. I'll make you a few million quid in a few years' time." Obviously, these players are still wanting to move on. They're young. They want to forward their career. I don't have any problems with players looking at Hearts and being a stepping stone. Because if you're going to get a big move in later days, it means that you're doing your job for Hearts. Exactly. And that's what matters to me. So, I mean, fair dues, we've got a couple of the boys in on loan, the boy Woodburn and that, and I can mind seeing Woodburn scoring for Wales against Austria in a qualifier. And you're like, how are we getting boys like that calibre up here? Bear in mind, his contract's up at the end of the season.
Listen, and this is what I will say to boys. Play football, play as much football as you can. because as long as you're doing your job for that club, listen, the opportunities will come, 100%. You know how am I pronouncing it? Banoninga? Am I pronouncing it right?
Baningame.
Baningame. Yes, I do beg your pardon. I think he's probably one of the best players you've brought in.
He's been the best player this season for Hearts.
I think besides his haircut, don't get me wrong, he needs to
You can
talk to
pull
his
that off.
hairdresser. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's a quality player. You know, I dare say you've not really had a solid centre midfield for a long time.
Yep.
You know, so I think I think he'll give Kamara, your Davis. I think he'll give them a good run for their money.
Mhm.
So guys, you know, we've talked about the transfers ins and outs and stuff. Okay, score predictions. I'm going to stick with you, Paul. What do you think the score is going to be?
I'm very, very confident. I'm always confident going into a derby. Honestly, I don't know if that's like in a said that wee bit of arrogance or whatever it is. It's just that we've beat Hibs so many times at Tynecastle Road, but the way we've been playing, I fancy us. I fancy a 2-0 or a 3-1.
2-0 or 3-1. So a 2-goal deficit then.
2-goal deficit. Hearts -1. Get your tank on it.
So basically, guys, if you are betting, please make sure you're over 18 and bet wisely.
As you see, Bobby, the arrogant sort of mojo's coming back in there. Paul's projections. They're like, do you know what they remind me of? It reminds me of wee laddies that can't help getting a stoner when they see a pair of tits in that. Honestly, they just can't help themselves.
It still works in this. It still gets me, I tell you.
Honestly, get well too overexcited. But no, listen, if you were approaching me a couple of weeks ago with a lot more rational head, I probably would have said a 1-0 draw. But as I approach the game, I think 1-0 Hibs, Martin Boyle.
1-0 Hibs, Martin Boyle. Okay. I personally, obviously going by what we've both said, I think we might see a high-scoring draw. Honest to God, we might see a high-scoring draw.
Yeah.
Just because, and you might say, oh, I'm sitting on the fence and that, you know, whatever. But I just think that it's a lot. For Hibs, right, for example, right? I see Hibs, they've scored 10 goals. They've only conceded 4. And I think to myself, they're going there and, you know, we know the hatred, the rivalry and so on. But they should also be confident as well. You know, they're in good form. So they'll be like, oh, we can get a couple of goals. On the other hand, on the other side, you know, Hearts score goals and Hearts are home. And I just think, I think for the neutral, for me, it'll be brilliant to see goals. Do you know what I mean? I think it'll be great. If I was a betting man, I'm sorry, Innes. If I was a betting man, I would just slightly edge to Hearts, only because the home factor. And that's it. And another thing I would add in, and I think this is very key to see, and I'm going to emphasize that the fact that half of the squad of Hibs, I don't know if it's completely half, have never went to a full packed Tynecastle. And
yeah,
that might play on it. That's the only reason why I'm edging towards Hearts.
Yeah, I mean, look, he'll play Paul Hanlon at the back and Ryan Porteous, who have done it, to be fair. Joe Newell, he knows what the derby's about now. Obviously, your new boy McGuinness and Doyle Hazy don't know anything about it, but they're two good football players, and I think that'll be a benefit, if anything. Martin Boyle's been there, so there's plenty of players in there, and you know, I think there's plenty of talent there to go and score goals 100%.
But this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, though. There's talent on both sides, and you know, okay, put it this way: if it turned out to be a 3-2, last couple of minutes to go, Hibs snatch an equaliser, would you be surprised that happens, though, or vice versa? Because both teams are confident in scoring, and it's not the case. It's not like Brazil, Christ, you score 8, we score 9. But I'm just saying, you know, and I think it'd be brilliant. I do think whole of Scotland, especially the whole of Edinburgh, will be stopped on Sunday. Good luck to the transport people, Lothian buses and stuff like that, and all the shops that do rolls and all the pubs and that. Good luck to them all. Before we conclude, guys, I just want to say thank you very much for doing this. I've enjoyed this, really enjoyed this. It's been brilliant. Before we go, okay, Paul, I just want you to plug. You do coaching, where your sons are that. So just like if you could just bring some exposure towards.
I take my son's team, Hutchison and Vale under 14s.
The real kings of Edinburgh.
Well, true. That's very decorated, should you say? Yeah, I really enjoy it. It's brilliant. great bunch of boys, all grown up at that age, going into first year, stuff like that. We've got, funnily enough, Sunday morning, we've got our first round of the Scottish Cup against Bonnyrigg up at Westerhales Astro up there. So if you're at a loose end early doors, get your carry out and get yourself up there, and you can get a wee watch of the boys. But yeah, all good.
Perfect. And as we were talking about, obviously, yourself, you're going to be bringing out a new podcast. Do you want to just shed some light on that?
Yeah, so I'm bringing out a podcast at the end of the month. It's called Untribal Politics is what I'm doing. I'm trying to break down the language barrier between people that are engaged in politics and people that aren't engaged in politics. So bringing issues to people and speaking, in regular form. Politics isn't for everyone that can speak in Parliament. It's for everyone. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to try and bring that to ground level. I'm going to be bringing politicians on and talking about issues just as we've been talking today. So it's called Untribal Politics. If you give that a listen later in the month, that'd be great.
Perfect. And listen, guys, we will hopefully be getting these guys for the reverse fixture next podcast. Listen,
why?
Listen, Kings of Edinburgh. Who is the Kings of Edinburgh? We shall find out Sunday afternoon. I'll tell you what, Sunday tea time. I don't know who's going to pick up the phone to me, but we will see. But guys, that's a brilliant ending. Listen, this is Ennis Burns. That is Paul Fraser. I am your host, Bitz and Bobz. Peace and love to you all. Thank you for watching.